This is Kelly Roach, and you are listening to the Success is a Choice podcast with Jamy Bechler. Now let's get down to business.
Providing insights to help you grow your business, improve yourself, and add value to those around you. You're listening to the Success is a Choice podcast, where you get a peek into the lives of industry leaders as they share their stories with you.
Welcome to Success is a Choice podcast. I'm your host, Jamy Bechler. And when you think of people that have shaped our lives and impacted the way we live, then today's guest would be on many people's list. Most of us have probably bought something that Kevin Harrington is responsible for. You see, Kevin is the inventor of the Infomercial and the pioneer of As Seen on TV. Kevin has successfully launched products that have generated more than $5 billion in sales. He's also famous for being an original shark on the Emmy Award winning Shark Tank. So it's our great pleasure to welcome Kevin Harrington to the show today.
Hey, Jamie, great to be here. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, absolutely. You've done so many great things. Tell us a little bit about what stands out to you when you think back about some of your highlights through your career.
Well, I think probably, I have to say I go all the way back to the beginning when it was 1984 when I saw Discovery Channel and I was watching, all of a sudden went dark, and then bars came up for 6 hours a day. I said, let's fill that time with products. And that was really the birth then of the infomercial industry. And, so it's all unused airtime on TV. We converted it into the infomercial world. And then Tony Little and Jack Lalanne and George Foreman and all these kind of celebrity types wanted to have products on this channel. So we then took it from the U.S. into Europe and Asia, Latin America, the Middle East, et cetera. So I that was really, very special and very powerful. I think there was various things that happened during that, but I think now this is, as an entrepreneur, any of the folks that are out there listening right now can made or a roadblock or you can't go any further or something's changed. And I think that's what I consider to be my greatest strength, is to be able to hit that roadblock, but not let it stop me, but try to figure out, get up, dust yourself off, go back at it and figure out a way to get around it. And so, this as the world is getting away from television, there's 13 million subscribers have left ESPN in the last couple of years, and there's over 50 million people that have cut the cord from TV. And I'm the As Seen on TV guy. What the hell am I going to do? So, bottom line is we've now morphed into a digital company where we now are on Facebook and Instagram and Google and YouTube and all the other kind of channels. So I think the bottom line is the important part of being an entrepreneur is to be able to have the vision, build it, continue that, but then also make sure that when you have those issues or problems that you're confronted with, that it comes back around and you've got a way to counter those issues. And so I think it's just it's a trait that is many of the entrepreneurs out there listening have been through these kinds of things and have survived. And I think that's the key thing is to be a survivor.
Well, speaking of survivor, you were approached by Mark Burnett about being on a new reality show. Talk a little bit about the origins of that.
Hey, that's funny. That's good segue there, Jamie. So Mark Burnett was producing the show, the Shark Tank, and when he first called me and said, "Hey, Kevin, I'd like for you to come out and talk to me about this new show I'm doing called Shark Tank," I was like, I told my wife, I said, "You won't believe it. I'm going to go see Mark Burnett and the show that he's doing." And she said, "Kevin," she said, "you've watched that show, Survivor. Think of all the crazy things he does to the people on that show. What's he going to do to you on a show called Shark Tank, right? Like, get thrown in the tank, right?" So I didn't know what the heck the show was when I first went out there. But bottom line, it's, obviously now we all know it's a business show, not a throw you in the tank kind of the show. But it was an amazing experience. Did 175 segments on Shark Tank, and now the show is the number one business show in the world. I travel the world. I was just in Copenhagen, Stockholm, Dubai, Singapore, Brisbane, Australia, and then came back and then had a day in between having to leave for Sao Paulo, Brazil. And so when I was in Brazil, I'm hanging out with the Brazilian sharks, and when I was in Australia, Shark Tank's all over the world now. It runs in about 40 countries. So it's all happening, and it's a good thing on a global basis. So excited to be part of the branding of that on a global basis.
When you think back about your time on Shark Tank, was there a product or a pitch that you really wish you had gotten that you didn't end up getting?
I've seen so many cool things that have happened on that show. There was one that Damon and I were negotiating on, and it was a pair of shoes that had multi-image straps that you could put a blue strap on and an orange one or a yellow one, and it was multifunctional, kind of like sandals almost, like that changed colors instantly based on the strap. That thing ended up being a big winner on QVC, and I think it was called the One Shoe or something like that. But those are the kind of things. I mean, then there was the Scrub Daddy that Lori Grenier did, which was a huge hit, and I think that's done over $50 million in sales. So, you can't get them all. And I mean, one of the challenges of being on the show is that you got to, as a shark, and you got to be investing in the deals, but they're not always, great opportunities. In fact, sometimes, there's some of these things can be losers. I had, one I put $500,000 into that closed up after 6 months. So, the investment gone. So, that kind of is the tough side of the deal. But that's business, in my normal business. Some of them work, some of them don't. You got to move on. Winston Churchill has a saying: success is being able to go from failure to failure without the loss of enthusiasm. So, we would, get hit on one and lose some money, but then you got to get back up and go back at it and find one that works. So, because oftentimes the winners can pay for many, many of the losers when they're big hits.
Well, even though you're not on Shark Tank anymore, you still do so much with investing in entrepreneurs. Talk a little bit about how you're still helping out entrepreneurs.
Well, I do a lot of things. In my business, I help entrepreneurs, and there I kind of partner with them or sit on advisory boards and things like that. But I also, for example, here in Tampa, I'm on the advisory board of the Collegiate Entrepreneurs Organization. That's called CEO. And CEO is they're on 275 campuses across the United States, and as a kind of a mentor and a advisor to that group, I help college entrepreneurs, and this is a nonprofit, and it's an unpaid position for me. So I give back to the entrepreneurial community, and look forward to seeing many of these entrepreneurs get some good advice, especially the younger community, because they're the ones that are going to be the foundation of the future.
As you dealt with people on Shark Tank or saw people make pitches, or you're dealing with that in your everyday life now in business, what are some keys, or what advice would you have of people that are trying to make sales, selling something themselves or a product?
Well, I mean, look, I think one thing that I say to anybody that's starting a business is that they should surround themselves with some experts. I mean, today, when you talk about give some good advice for someone that wants to sell something, you got to understand the digital world now. You got to understand Facebook and Google and YouTube and all the different ways you can sell things out there digitally, because it's a different world. It's a great opportunity though. So with Facebook, you've got 1,800 target points you can make that you can connect into folks very quickly. And in a targeted fashion. So, this is, so for example, if you're selling, a product that's a baldness a cure of some type, that's a legitimate product, you can find men that are balding and are looking for something like that, even women with thinning hair. You can target that in your search aspect. So, in the old days, we just had to put it up on television and hope that we were getting them. So the targeting potentials are much more powerful today with the world of digital.
What are some books or podcasts that you like to consume, or that you've read, or that you would recommend?
Well, one of the greatest books I ever read way back when I was a teenager was Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. Then shortly thereafter, I started reading Zig Ziglar. He was an amazing guy, from start at the top to the secrets of closing the sale. Sales closes, 100+ closes in his book. As a salesman, that was my Bible. So Zig was amazing, and actually I'm doing something with the family now. So, make a long story short, I read, constantly and love to get great information on all the newest things that are out there. I subscribe to a thing called Abstract. I think it's Get Abstract, something like that. I get book synopsis that I can kind of do the Cliff Notes version of books, and I can read 5-pager on the overview of many books. It's not like reading it all the way, but if you got a short window of opportunity, you can get a couple good ones in. So I focus on trying to get a lot of information. I call it my curiosity overload. I love to do that. So
there's also some books by a pretty good author named Kevin Harrington.
Hey, there you go. Thank you. Hey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate that.
Your newest one, Put a Shark. I believe it's Put a Shark in Your Tank, and I know the one that I'm more familiar with is the Key Person of Influence. Key
Person of Influence is a great book because it's a 5-step system that if you're a lawyer or a chiropractor, no matter what, really, I don't care if you own a dry cleaning shop, you can become the biggest and the best in your area. I mean, I know I take my dry cleaning to a place that does, the best work, but they do a lot of the high-end people in the neighborhood, and they probably charge like $6 or $7 for a shirt, but they don't ruin a $200-300 shirt. I think the bottom line is that you got to become a key person of influence. You got to build your brand and become really someone significant in the world of marketing. And so there's a 5-step system. That's what that book's all about, how to do it, how to build the brand, how to be the first person that they think of. Let's say you're in real estate, you're going to get the big listing. You got to be there on the tip of their minds. And, so you got to position yourself as that expert. And there's very significant ways to do that. So, so bottom line is I think becoming a key person is amazing, and that's been a great read for many people.
We'll get back to Kevin Harrington in just a moment. I receive a lot of feedback from many of you through emails or comments, and I know that a good part of our listening audience enjoys books. Well, because of this, Audible is going to offer our listeners a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial just to check out their service. So now you can get Kevin Harrington's book, Act Now, or any other book for that matter, because nobody has more books in their online library than Audible. So if you want to take advantage of this generous offer, then go to audibletrial.com/Success is a Choice podcast. Again, that's audibletrial.com/Success is a Choice podcast to get your free audiobook. And now back to our interview with Kevin Harrington. Now, I'm sure that you've had a few oops moments or a few mistakes that have actually turned into positives, or you've been able to learn some stuff from that. You got any stories you'd like to share about that might be able to provide some insights to our audience?
This is a crazy one. We used to deal with all the celebrities, and we had the Hilton family in, from Paris Hilton to her mother and Rick, and all of them came in. We did beauty stuff with them and Kathy Hilton, and then the Kardashian family, from Kim all the way to the mother. And so we dealt with all this, but one day, so we thought all celebrities, that's the way to go. So one day Chubby Checker, who was sitting in my office, and he's got this fitness product, and it's called the Sizer. He had created the big, song, The Twist. And so we're like all excited, about dealing with Chubby Checker, and we invested huge money into his project. But needless to say, investing hundreds of thousands of dollars in a fitness product with a man named Chubby was not a good idea. So we lost all our money on that one, and I always use that as a point of reference, of a turning point when we stopped thinking that any celebrity could do anything. And so oftentimes the product is the star. And so that was the learning point there, is that, you got a good product. You don't need necessarily that big, heavy-duty celebrity. It might cost you too much. They may not do what you want. And I got plenty of stories of celebrities that didn't perform as we had expected after paying them big money. So, you learn from your mistakes. And those are definitely a couple things that we learned in the celebrity world.
Well, last question for you today, Kevin. What would you say is the one trait or quality that's made you or helped you be so successful?
Jamy, I think the trait that I believe has helped me be successful over the years is, and this is now in the last probably 20 years that I've focused on this, but didn't in the first bunch of years of my being an entrepreneur. I used to try to do it all myself, and thought I had all the skill sets, and was afraid to give big people and smart people give them the the kind of the go-ahead just to take it and run with it. And now I really want the best of the best. I want the gurus. I want the top financial people, the top operations people, the top digital people. Give them a little piece of the action, because I believe, 70 or 80% of a huge pie, it can be way more valuable than 100% of a pie that never gets baked. Okay, so the bottom line is that surround yourself with what I call the dream team, and you're going to have great chances of much bigger success.
Well, thanks so much for your time, Kevin. I appreciate it. I know you're so busy, so thank you.
Hey, buddy, worked out great. Good to be with you.
That man is a rock star in the world of business, and he's worked with a ton of celebrities as well. I'm very grateful that he was willing to squeeze in a few minutes during his very busy schedule to provide some insights for us today. I would encourage you to visit his website at kevinharrington.tv and download his free ebook containing 57 keys to his success. Also, if you haven't yet done so, please take just a quick second and hit that little subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any future episodes. And as always, remember, success is a choice. What choice will you make today?